Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video from EICMA 2025, the biggest and best motorcycle show in the world. And we're back at Honda for a look at some of the bikes that have actually been moved over to their e-clutch platform. It's a really handy little feature that does make some of the bikes more convenient to use day in, day out. And so I think more choice is always a good thing. And so in this video, we'll go through each of the models and whether we think they might benefit greatly from this new tech. So look, the e-clutch journey kind of started with this bike, the CB750R Naked, and also the CBR650R sports bike, where these were the first models to get this tech about a year or so back now. No particular indication as to why they chose this 650 inline 4 to be the kind of first engine to get this tech. But it did give us a great opportunity to try it out and see how it operates and see where you kind of benefit from it out on the road. I've reviewed this bike and really enjoyed it. And if you're not familiar, the way that e-clutch kind of works is it kind of replaces the clutch with an electronic actuator so that it can pull in the clutch when you come to a standstill and then let it out again when you twist the throttle. So it basically gives you twist and go riding and no need to hold in the clutch when you're at a standstill. It's also used to give you slick gear shifts without using the clutch as well. It kind of acts the same as a quick shifter, but it's technically different. And then the other thing to point out is that you do still have the manual clutch, unlike some other systems that are somewhat similar to e-clutch. So you can use it to control the bike at lower speeds and, you know, have that fine level of connection with the bike when it most counts, when you're doing those maneuvers and U-turns and things like that. So yeah, still available on the 650 Naked, still available on the sports version as well. Although these bikes did get a couple of tweaks, I think, for 2026, including that very punchy orange paint job, which I like a lot. But new for 2026, we've got some other engines now available with e-clutch, and we'll start with this, the 750 Transalp. This is a fantastic engine, this 750 parallel twin, with plenty of mid-range and low-end grunt, which is perfect for an adventure bike like this, but it's actually also surprisingly free revving and makes a good amount of power at the top with 90-ish horses peak. So it's actually a very entertaining bike on-road as well, the Transalp. And I'd also say the chassis handles far better than it perhaps looks like it will when you do get into the quicker, twisty stuff. Now, both me and Tim really like the Transalp. Don't know what you think of this new paint job? It's okay. I like the orange and grey from last year. That was the one we really liked with the gold rims. But yeah, I've no doubt that e-clutch is going to be right at home here with a bike that's very versatile. It could be a good weekend away bike. It could be a good off-roader. It could be a bit of fun as well if you want to ride quicker, but also maybe a commuter as well. And so that's the sort of situation with the stop-start traffic where you don't want to be feathering the clutch all the time. And this would be absolutely ideal. No idea what e-clutch would be like off-road. Maybe you would miss that little bit of clutch control. Certainly though, we found the Africa Twin with DCT, which also has no clutch, to be actually quite good, and so perhaps that's something we'll be able to test out at some point at their adventure centre down in Devon. Now, before we get on to the next bike, a massive thanks to Kalimoto for supporting the channel and making this EICMA coverage possible. We're giving away 25-year memberships here at EICMA, so if you are at the show and you've managed to find us, do say hello and see if we've got any left. But if you're not familiar, Kalimoto is a brilliant motorcycle-specific navigation app with their own algorithm to identify the best possible curvy and twisty routes. That means you shouldn't have to ride a boring straight road again. And so do check out the links down in the description, where we've also got a 10% discount code specifically for our viewers. Now, also on the 750 parallel twin platform, we've got the brilliant little Hornet Naked. And we said yesterday about the CB1000 GT Tourer that someone at Honda got the memo about perhaps making the finishes and paint jobs a little bit more interesting. And I think that carries through to this bike as well, which looks brilliant for 2026 with a couple of new paint options. This one, the yellow with the silver tank, the yellow belly pan as well, just looks a little bit more aggressive and sporty and exciting, and so that's definitely my pick of the bunch, although they have got a version with a grey tank and a sort of dark blue on the colourful bits, and that also looks very good indeed, if a little more perhaps subdued and tasteful. This particular bike behind me is fitted with the E-clutch. You can kind of see it bolted onto the side there. It doesn't add a great deal of weight. I think it's a matter of kilograms, and also it doesn't add a great deal of cost either, a few £100, I think. And so when I reviewed the CB650R, it seemed like a bit of a no-brainer because, like I say, you can override it with the manual clutch, but it's there when you want it, and so in terms of value for money, I think it's fantastic. Again, another great all-rounder of a bike. If you're a little bit shorter, you might prefer this bike to the Transalp, and so I think the E-clutch is right at home here as well. And yeah, I'd be very interested to see how well it pairs out on the road with this great 750 twin engine. What I think is potentially the most exciting thing though about this update is the fact that it now brings E-clutch type riding to a lower price point and therefore makes it available to more riders. Now, I always found it interesting with the equivalent tech from other manufacturers like YAMT from Yamaha or even DCT from Honda, but also automated shift assistant from BMW. You know, there's this idea it makes bikes easier to ride and therefore motorcycles more accessible perhaps because you don't have to learn the clutch control. And yet a lot of that tech is quite expensive and sort of stuck on the top end, bigger capacity models, which are realistically not going to be considered for anyone who's looking to get on their first bike. These ones though, these A2 friendly 500s like the CB750 Hornet you'll see behind me, are much more appropriate for that level of rider. And so I think this could be a really good seller and, like I say, make it seem much less intimidating to get on a bike. At the same time, you know, the 500 Twin is not my favorite engine that Honda make because of the 180-degree crank. It's not super exciting, but it is economical. It is a good enough performer as well. It revs out quite nicely. And also they have done a similar job to the 750 with making the visuals of this bike a touch more interesting and appealing for 2026. So another great job on this one, and we'll definitely try and get hold of one of these for a review as well. For reference, I talk about it being more accessible in terms of price. We don't have UK pricing confirmed for any of these bikes yet for 2026, but as an indication, if you were trying to get on a 750 Hornet, it would come in around, I think, $7,500 in 2025. This bike much closer to 6. So maybe with the E-clutch fitted, you're looking at the low 6s or close to 6.5, which, like I say, is much more achievable for a wider range of potential owners. Now, naturally, this E-clutch update is also available on some of the other 500 models, like this brilliant little all-rounder. This is the NX500, effectively like a baby version of the Transalp, but also every bit as good in many regards when it comes to that kind of versatile, economical, all-round kind of riding. And this is, again, a brilliant bike if you're looking for something that can do a bit of everything, including the commute. A bit of wind protection, is nice and comfortable, it feels quite spacious for a relatively low-capacity bike, and whereas a lot of the other bikes in this kind of mid-capacity part of the adventure market really do focus on being off-road biased. If you're thinking about the new F450 GS, it's selling itself on that off-road capability. Same with the KTM 390 Adventure R, for example. Well, this is much more road biased, and I think it does make for a very good road bike, even if it does sacrifice a little bit of that more sexy image that does help to sell bikes. If, however, you fancy something a little more, with a bit more pizzazz, let's say, then perhaps consider the CBR 500R sports bike. It's got definitely a bit of the look of the Fireblade, hasn't it, Tim? It's definitely doing a good job of impersonating its more premium, larger sibling, but it's actually a great little bike as well. Like I say, this 40-odd horsepower 500 Twin does rev out quite nicely. It's probably not the lightest weight, the most track-focused bike like the KTM 390 or the Kawasaki Ninja, but as a good quality all-round road bike, this is a great one to give a go. And like I say, the E-clutch does also act as a quick shifter, or it does the same job with those clutchless up and down shifts, so I'm sure that'll help to add a little bit of entertainment when you are riding this bike a touch quicker. Anyway, that rounds up the new e-clutch bikes for 2026. I'd love to know from you down in the comments below which one caught your eye, what you think of that new visual package that they've put on some of these bikes, and also, would you choose e-clutch or would you still prefer to go manual? Do let us know down in the comments. I'll put our playlist from EICMA on the screen as well, so you can see all of our videos as soon as they go live. Check out that discount code if you fancy picking up a Kalimoto membership. A massive thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next video.